Hey, this is Paul. Welcome to Wealth Protector TV. This is our channel at our law firm, Barth Calderon, to bring you value, keep you dialed in to important issues. Really excited for my guest today, Joe Teleoglou, who is the founder of his own firm, Intellectual Property. He's got his thumb on the pulse of what's going on in that industry. Very interesting stuff we talked about, and you're going to want to know Joe. Get connected with him, and let's go jump into this. You're going to love this discussion with some great takeaways. Hello, it's the top of the hour, 9 a.m. here in California. I'm actually, both Joe and I are in Orange County, California, and welcome to Wealth Protector TV. I'm Paul Hitchcock. Very excited to have Joe Teleoglou with us. Joe, welcome.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks. I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, and for those of you who haven't heard us before, this is our channel to get relevant information out to our constituents. And I always have expert speakers on here. Joe certainly is one of them. He is an intellectual property attorney running his own firm. And Joe, I want to get into this because we were just talking about this offline. You said you're crazy busy, and which is great, good place to be. But what are you focused on, and what is keeping you busy?
So recently, I've been doing a lot of patent work for AI related inventions. I have a lot of software experience in my background, so on AI is one of the areas that I've worked a lot in the past, and I really understand it. And so, as I'm sure you're aware, there's been a big push in development of AI, new uses for AI tools, the AI tools themselves. And so there's a lot of patent work that has to go into protecting all these ideas. So that's a big part of what's been keeping me really busy lately.
Oh, so I want to ask you about that in particular, because I'm early adopter of AI for the businesses I'm associated with. Love it. And so comment is AI is here to stay. And other than the chat GPT everybody knows about at a basic level, Joe, where is IP getting to the point where it's sophisticated with businesses where you're getting involved in, like, what's going on in your world with AI and what you're doing?
A lot of it is really complex tools that different companies and industries are out there using. So to give you an example of one I worked on a few years ago, when you drive your car, most traffic lights have a sensor beforehand. It's that round or rectangular thing you drive over that's on the road. And so what AI is good at is collecting data, analyzing it, and using that data to make predictions about the future. And so the people who came up with this idea for the traffic signal said, hey, if we can predict, if we know how many cars are driving over this certain stretch of road every day at every time of the day, we can predict what the traffic is going to be like in the future. And then based on that, we can use Apple Maps or Google Maps and direct people around where the heavy traffic spots are to lighten up traffic in general in a whole region.
Wow.
And so the AI went out there, it predicted where traffic was going to be really heavy, and it helps you figure out a route that's going to avoid the heavy traffic spots. So it's really a lot of specialized ideas like that where they take the general idea and apply it to a whole industry.
Very, very interesting. It's funny. I live in the Bay Area, so I'm in San Francisco a lot, and Waymo's just exploded in San Francisco. And I just still, it just am in a state of amazement when I see these Waymo vehicles cruising around. Nobody's in them, and they're just cruising around busy San Francisco. Have you get involved in that space at all, or is stuff happening there?
There's a whole lot in the automobile space also happening. I go to CES from time to time, and the last few years, automotive has been the hot new area where there's just been tons and tons of inventions. And I can say this because it's on some public information, but I used to do a whole lot of patent work for Toyota, and I really focused on their autonomous vehicle and their fuel cell ideas.
Huh. Do you see going forward, Joe, that the autonomous vehicles is it, I mean, is it going to be the main thing going forward? Getting rid of, people driving Ubers and taxis? I mean, is it that legit?
My understanding is yes, they're out there. They're very safe. I think once a little bit more development and testing goes into it, they're going to be safer than human-driven automobiles. So yeah, I think autonomous vehicles are going to be here to stay. Like you mentioned, they're going to be huge to replace taxi and Uber drivers. But I think people are also going to not want to drive themselves, especially if they have a long commute, like 30 minutes, an hour, so they can just sit back in the car and get some work done instead of focusing on the road, getting frustrated with traffic. So yeah, I think autonomous vehicles are going to take over here in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I got it early in line for Waymo and got accepted. So I've got the app and yet to try it in the city, but I am. So and I want to tell everybody listening too, feel free to throw out questions as Joe and I are talking here. I want this to be as interactive as it can be. So just put those in chat or the Q&A. We'll answer those live. And Joe, so what type of businesses are you working with? Do you have certain niches you're focused on?
I do. So I have an electrical engineering background, and I've been doing a lot in the software space and the automotive space. So really, I can handle anything that's mechanical or electrical or software, but those are the areas that I really have a whole lot of experience in. I know the industries inside and out, and I really enjoy that work also.
What's going on in the software industry? Like what areas of the software industry are you working in?
I, Mostly right now, it's all AI stuff.
Okay. Okay. And uh are these businesses small, medium, large? What sort of size of business are you working with?
It's really all across the board from one and two person startups all the way to Fortune 500 companies. And it's kind of a trade-off. I like having a balance of those two because usually it's the small startups that really have the brand new cloud bursting ideas that really change the world. And the bigger companies will acquire them once they've proven that that technology works and gotten up to a minimally viable product, and then the big guys will take over. But as I'm sure you know, startups don't pay bills as well as the large established companies. So it's good to do that work also to keep a steady paycheck coming in.
Yeah, and got some questions rolling in. Good to see you here, Art. Asking if you're familiar with the Advanced Vehicle Patent Book, patentbooks.com. Does that ring a bell?
I've heard a little bit about it, yes.
Okay. Okay. I know so our law firm, Barth Calderon, helped get that set up according to Art here. Um, and so IP, Joe, what constitutes IP, for bigger companies? I mean, obviously it's the AI stuff. What else is IP falls under that umbrella?
So IP is a pretty large umbrella that really covers anything that's an idea that is not a physical thing. And so brands are a big portion of IP, and trademark is really there to protect brands. Because what you want to do if a company is selling something and the whole public knows that this product is associated with that company, then there's a known quality that is associated with that brand of that company. So when you buy an Apple telephone, you know exactly what you're getting. You know the quality is going to be good. You know how it's going to function. And so that Apple trademark is really how they protect that brand and get it out there. And you wouldn't have that knowledge that an Apple phone is going to be a great piece of technology if everyone out there sold a phone and called it Apple. So those trademarks are really important, and it's not just technology. It's if you run a service business and you get to be really well known, the name of your business is going to be associated with the quality of your work. So even if you're running a service business, you're doing something like laundry, uh, trademarks for your brand names are really important. So that there's also, we've been discussing patents for the most part. So patents cover any new and useful inventions. So that can be processes, physical things, software, all of that is protectable by patents. And so patents really protect an idea that is going to improve things in any industry. So maybe you write software that's going to make your computer run faster. Maybe you come up with a new type of engine for a car. Maybe you come up with a new way to display navigation instructions on the windshield. All of that's protectable by patents. And then you also have artistic design, which is the IP that most people are familiar with. And that's if an artist creates any work of art, whether it's visual, physical, musical, then that's protected by copyright. And we've all heard about those copyright disputes where an artist says there's another band out there that copied a piece of their music. Maybe they copied a riff, maybe they copied some words. And so that's an example of copyright infringement.
Okay, and maybe this is a pedestrian example, but when you watch Shark Tank and these deals come through there, one of the first questions they always ask is, is it trademarked? You got a patent on it. Why are they asking that? Is it because somebody else will just rip it off and steal it? Is that happening all the time?
That happens quite a bit. So there's a couple of reasons that they ask that question. And one is so they can really corner the market and have a monopoly for what it is they're doing. And so the policy behind patents is they want to foster innovation. And so the trade-off is if someone invents something useful, they're going to give them a patent, which is really a monopoly on that invention that lasts 20 years. But the other side of that coin is once you have a patent issued for something, it only lasts for 20 years and then it expires and it becomes public knowledge and public property at that point. So the inventor gets to have that monopoly for 20 years, but then the whole public has access to the invention. They can use it however they want.
Interesting. Fascinating, actually. Uh, and you mentioned images and so forth. So, social media has exploded, marketing, just going crazy and big money there with influencers doing things on TikTok and all that. Are is all of that stuff needing to be trademarked, patented, somebody's brand and influencer, are they trademarking their stuff? And well, let me ask you that question first.
Yeah, so there's two things they might be doing to protect what they're doing. So one is trademarks. The usually it's brands that hire them to go out there and promote certain goods. And so those brands are really protected by trademark. So say if Gucci hires an influencer to go out there and really push a new pocketbook, then that Gucci brand is going to already be protected by Gucci. The influencer might put their name or they might have a label for their show. Maybe they call it the brands in the morning or something like that. So they would protect that brands in the morning. But what really covers the influencers more is copyright. So if there's a certain look and feel that they have on their social media posts, then maybe they'll protect that look and feel. Maybe they use some sort of artistic design as their background, and so that artistic design would be protected by copyright. And so those are the two main IP issues with influencing.
Okay, I just got to say that, Joe, I do not carry around a Gucci pocketbook, just for the record, out of my league. Um, so then, so the images and so forth, uh, like for example, NFTs exploded. There was that window there where those were going crazy. Uh, that market still exists. I don't know where it's going to go because there was a sell-off there, but uh, is that a whole new arena? And are there laws around NFTs and tokens and all those things?
So a lot of that is really the same laws that have been out there in the past. And so a lot of NFTs that are out there, they represent a piece of art in the real world. And so that piece of art has already been protected with copyright. And the person who generates and distributes the NFT, they have either own the copyright for that piece of art or they license the copyright so they can make an NFT that includes the same image in it. And so that NFT, they sell it as if it's a piece of art itself, the original piece of art, but because it's digital, they can distribute that, and the owner of the original artwork gets to keep that copy.
Okay. Okay. Uh, and then can you, I have various websites for businesses. Obviously, a lot of people do. What is the rule with using images you pull off the internet and so forth? Like you got an image of Mark Zuckerberg doing, whatever. Can you use those images, or if they're out there?
No, you can't use those images unless they're available for public use for free. And so the different websites have different lists of free images that you can use. So any of those are fine, but it happens quite often where someone takes a picture from a news article or someone else's website and they put that picture on their website, and then the copyright holder gets wind of that and they send a cease and desist letter
Right.
to the person who owns the website and copied that picture. So that's a big problem. And there are copyright trolls out there that will they'll spend all day searching for copyright infringement like that, and then they'll go out and file suit against the infringers.
Oh yeah,
So it's
I've seen those letters come through, and they want, $400. Give us $400, we won't sue you. Take it down. Those are a dime a dozen. Uh,
Yeah.
it's interesting because Art's mentioning here that this patent books is hosting the Rocky Mountain IP Summit. I guess with world IP leaders, including Toyota, other automakers, Qualcomm. Anyways, interesting. Um, yeah, for those who want to check that out. But um, and then Joe, when you're working with businesses, what are the mistakes that you often see when it comes to the IP world with medium, bigger businesses or any business really?
So a lot of companies think you have to have a product already prepared and ready to go to market before you can get a patent for it. And that's just not true. The real savvy companies, they have their engineers go submit an invention disclosure form as soon as they have a new idea for a way to improve the product they're working on, a new product, whatever. And so at that point, the really savvy companies will take a look at the idea, and if they think it has any value, they'll move forward with protecting that via patent as soon as they get the idea. And so that's a big misconception out there. You can file for patent protection as soon as you have an idea for something that will work, is new, and will make some sort of improvement in the world.
Okay. Okay.
And
How?
another, sorry to interrupt, another big one is trademarks. A lot of times companies won't go out there and do a clearance search to make sure a name for a product or their company is available. And so they go out there, they start using this name, and then 5 years later, they might get a cease and desist letter from another company on the other side of the country that's using the same name. And so
Mhm,
once they've
mhm.
spent all that marketing money, then they have to go back and change the name and start over from ground zero. So that's a pretty big mistake also.
Where do you get involved, Joe? I mean, when does a company bring you in? When they're doing new stuff and they want you to do a review of it and go make sure it's all buttoned up, or where do you enter into this scenario?
A lot of times, that's the exact position that I come in on. So like I said earlier, the engineer will submit an invention disclosure form. The company might have a panel that reviews those things periodically, maybe once a week, maybe once a month. And the ones that they think are valuable and ready to patent, then at that point, they will send those over to me and I take a look at that. Maybe I go do a patentability search, make sure there's nothing else like it out there, or maybe I just start working on the patent. So that's a lot of times that's when I come in. If it's a smaller company, whenever they have the idea, That's the best time to bring me in because I can help guide them through what to do to make that idea protectable, give them guidance as to whether the idea is protectable. Um, if there's existing patents out there, I can help them redesign the product so they don't infringe the existing patents out there, so they're free to sell their invention without concern. So yeah, the product development stage and the idea stage is really the best time for me to get involved.
When a company has a new logo, a new brand, so you start a new company, uh, does it make sense to trademark that when companies just starting out, or does it need to get to a certain size or exposure before it starts making sense to go down that road?
It's really best if you protect that name with a trademark as soon as possible. It's if you have the idea, you know you want to use it at that point, it's really ideal. Because that way you can go out there, you can know that your name is available and you can start marketing under that brand. If you wait until the company is a certain size, that's when you run into issues because maybe you've spent, 3 years building the brand, people are starting to get familiar with it. If you get a cease and desist letter at that point and have to change your name, then you're really having to start from ground zero again with your marketing.
Yeah, yeah. And then how about do service-based companies ever need to get into this arena with you? I mean, products that you make, you just see it's obvious products. Service-based companies, it'd be professional services. Do they get involved in this stuff?
Some of them do, some of them don't. A lot of it really depends on how they're going to do their marketing, whether they think people are going to start using them because of their brand or only personal introductions. So, to give an example, a lot of lawyers only get work from direct referrals from other lawyers and other professionals. And so it's not necessary for those lawyers to go out and get a trademark for their name, because a lot of times they're really only using their personal name as their brand, right?
Okay.
Maybe you go and you use Joe T Law. You can get a trademark for that, but people are really only going there because they know Joe T. They want to hire him.
Okay. I'm just putting something here. I'm letting everybody know. I'm putting in the chat here. Um, my email for if you want an assessment or you get any questions, personal questions for Joe as a follow-up, email me. I get you connected to Joe. Yeah, Joe, because the service base, I know, there's a big attorney who's got, 1-800 cuffs, right? CUFFS. You probably know that. He's in Southern California, but I imagine that's trademarked or patented or whatever.
Yes, that most certainly is.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you're driving down the road and you see things like that, you see the personal injury lawyer billboards that, if you get hit by a car, call this guy.
Sweet
Um,
James, Sweet
yeah,
James. Have you
yes,
seen that one?
I have seen all the Sweet Jameses. Yeah.
He's everywhere.
So I am sure, has protected Sweet James because that's a really valuable brand, right?
Yeah.
People think accident, call Sweet James.
Yeah, yeah, that is hilarious because I do that drive on the 5, and boy, that guy's marketing is on steroids and it works. Uh, how do you, if someone wanted to get you involved, Joe, how does an interaction with you start?
So a lot of times I like to just do an inventory of what they have, like what trademarks do they have? Do they have any copyrights? Do they have any patents? Get a better idea about what they're doing as a company, what they think is valuable. And then from that, I can give them my opinion as to whether I think they're on the right track to protect themselves or whether they need to do some things different.
Yeah, yeah. Is it a lot of paperwork when you're filing for a patent and trademarks? Is it a boatload of paperwork, or what is the issue there?
From my side, it's a lot of paperwork for filing a patent application. So I need to sit down and write the whole thing, and they're on average maybe 30 pages or so. So that's a lot of sitting and typing on my side.
Yeah.
The inventors, the clients themselves don't usually have to do that much work, that much paperwork at least. They can just walk me through the idea, and then when the patent's put together, then they just need to review it and let me know if it correctly captures what they're doing or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Great stuff, Joe. I mean, this is a very interesting topic. I know there's a lot more behind that, but I'll say let's leave it at there for now. And again, for anybody that has any follow-up questions, email me. I can get you in touch with Joe. And Joe, I know I'm going to have you back to continue this discussion. I really appreciate it. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks a lot for the invitation. I've had a great time chatting with you.
Okay, we'll see you soon, Joe.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Bye, Paul.